Shalom Israel, it's your brother Marcus G back with yet another Truth for Thought. First and foremost, I must give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High. I must give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High. Second, Israel, as many of you know, I just got back from Philadelphia. Long flights. They were long flights. But Israel, I want you to know, even with the journey, I wouldn't change anything a second of it. Like I said in my last update video when I landed, there were some parts that I preferred more so than the others. The 9.5 hour layovers, man, those were the parts that I would prefer not to have to do. But I had a 9.5 hour layover, both on the way and back from Philadelphia. I want you all to please keep in your prayer Queen Alicia, King Michael, Queen Sharon, and King Greg. Now, there are some other people that I'm going to mention for you to keep in prayers, but I want to elaborate on Queen Sharon and King Greg. Now, while up there in Philadelphia, I met Queen Sharon and King Greg. Now, I say this a lot to people. We got. And right now, up there in Philadelphia, all that Queen Alicia and King Michael have is Queen Sharon and King Greg. They travel about 2 hours. to be there for Queen Alicia, as does King Michael. They stay on the outskirts, about 2 hours away from Philadelphia, which can be longer depending on traffic, and traffic gets pretty crazy there. So seeing that we understand that we all we got, they have to travel so far, I want to ask you, Israel, to be charitable towards Queen Sharon and King Britney, as they are doing everything they can for the continued support, upkeep, and care of our beloved sister, Queen Alicia. Now, is this important? Yes, it's so important. I flew up there. However, now I have to go somewhere else. And when I left, there were family there to continue with the reason that I even came. And that family is Queen Sharon and King Greg. So I ask that you be charitable to them. I'm going to have a link to their Cash App in the description if you are in a position to be charitable. And you would please, I ask that you be charitable in the form of a donation towards them. Now, with that, I also ask, if you cannot do, keep them wrapped in prayer. Keep them wrapped in prayer. They're doing everything they can for one another. Both these couples are literally all they got where they are. And they've been doing a good job of doing it, but now one of them is down. And the other couple, they trying to keep that couple that has half of it kind of down, keep them up. I'm turning to our nation to ask that you continue to help both of them stay up. Now, I did say some others that I wanted to ask for prayer. Queen Paula, I'm sure you probably in the building. I've been working with you and your family now about 4 months. I'd be disobedient. I've told you this if I didn't. So, Israel, I ask that you keep wrapped in prayer the following individuals as well. Queen Paula, Queen Kristal, Queen Ashley, Queen Britney, and King Josh. This is a whole family. Queen Paula is the mother. The Most High called Queen Paula's king, who was in the truth, home last year. All right. I can go over many scripture that supports the fact of how and when, Israel, we are to be there for one another. Prayer is one of the hows. Continued encouragement, one of the hows. The continued checking on one of the hows. Because it's commanded of you, the one and only. Why? All the time, the one and only when. So I'm asking that you also keep in prayer my beloved sister and her entire family. All right, that again would be Queen Paula, Queen Kristal, Queen Ashley, Queen Britney, and King Josh. Lovely, lovely Israelites. I love them dearly, as I love you all dearly. Now, with that said, I also want to continue to also let you know that that does not negate the rest of the nation. These are just people that I know right now really, really need it. Continue to pray for the whole nation. There's some power in it. I was up in Philadelphia with 4 people, 2 couples that witnessed said power. To that I say, all praises to the Most High. Now that we got that, and again, y'all, as always, y'all gonna find all the links to everything in my description. You'll find the GoFundMe, the name. If you have the GoFundMe app, you'll find the name for Queen Sharon and King Greg in the description. And you'll have all the scriptures and the links for what we're examining in today's Truth for Thought, which is Medical Insight for You, Israel, Part 5. And I'm telling you, Israel, a new medical insight for you comes out every time somebody comes to me with a different medical condition. That is always confirmation for me. I need to talk about it. So I was contacted while I was in Philadelphia about a young princess. Young princess, 10 years old. This young princess is one of my beloved sisters, Queen Tandy. One of my beloved sisters, granddaughter. I apologize, Queen Tandy. I did not have a chance to write down your daughter's name, but I got something for you. I apologize. These 3 individuals, and I remember the grandbaby name though, Messiah. And again, Israel, this is a princess with the name Messiah, okay? She was having some issues that are going to be addressed today in this Truth for Thought, which is going to cover epilepsy and status epilepticus. And quite naturally, y'all know me, I got some herbs for it. I got a list of herbs, okay? Natural things, right? But I was contacted by Queen Tandy, and it really touched my heart. I was thinking I might have to head back to Dallas where we did the oil gathering to be a support for this young princess, but she was released. All praises to the Most High. But my confirmation came with that phone call. Well, not a phone call. These were messages, actually, via Instagram. I apologize. I can't lie. I'm repenting for that. Messages via Instagram. I was contacted via message on Instagram. Now, before I get into epilepsy and status epilepticus, I want to get a couple of scriptures, and it's not many. It's a total of 6, only 6. But let me get some scriptures. Let me share my screen real fast. Some of these y'all hear me say in medical insights to you before, but it's a couple that I added for a very specific reason. They're very applicable. Very, very applicable. So we're going to start with Genesis chapter 1, and we're going to get verse 11 and 12. This verse, these two verses, and then the next three verses are going to be classics in regards to herbal implementation, the reason for herbs, who created these herbs. So these are going to be some classics. You're going to hear them every time. So Genesis 1, verse 11 and 12. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so. Verse 12. And the earth brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good. So these herbs that the Most High created, they're good. And we're going to see what all they're good for. So let's drop down in Genesis 1 to verses 29 and 30. Again, these are going to become classics in regards to the medical insights for you, Israel. And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb. This is the Most High. For meat, and it was so. Well, I'm sorry, I skipped verse 29. Let me go back up to verse 29. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. Now, verse 30. And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat. And it was so. So here you see that herbs can be for meat, just to nourish, right? Just to nourish is good for that. So now let's go to Genesis chapter 9, and we're going to get verse 3. Genesis 9 and 3, and it reads, every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things. All things. Again, even the herb as a meat. So now let's go to the New Testament. We're going to go to Hebrews. This is one that I've added into this. There's a reason for it. We're going to go to Hebrews 6, verse 7. For the earth which drinketh in the rain that cometh oft upon it, and bringeth forth herbs, meat for them by whom it is dressed, receiveth blessing from God. So these herbs are meat. Now we sing these herbs are being used in conjunction with blessing from the Most High. Now let's go back to the Old Testament. Well, actually, no, we're going to stay in the New Testament. We're going to go to Romans 14 and 2. Romans 14 and 2. Let's go to Romans 14 and 2. Romans 14, verse 2. And it reads, for one believeth that he may eat all things. Another, who is weak, eateth herbs. That who is weak When you're sick, you're weak. When your blood sugar gets a little too low, a little too high, you're weak. When your blood pressure go up too high or it's a little too low, you weak. You're not able to, you ain't running no marathon when your blood pressure up. You're too weak for that. When this beloved young princess is in status epilepticus, as much as everybody wanted just about to get up and just walk, she couldn't. She was too weak. But the weak eateth the herbs. Now we finna find out why. We are about to find out why. Scripture. Now let's go back to the Old Testament. Let's go back to the Old Testament. I want to go to Psalms. Psalms chapter 104 and 14. Because Queen Kristal, oh, I hope you hear my voice. It's one thing to tell somebody something. It's another to tell them why. Psalms 104 and 14, he causeth the grass to grow for the cattle and herb. Remember that weak one. He eateth the herb and herb for the service of man, up to and including medical service. The reason that weak one eateth the herb, he's sick. And that these herbs, they heal. Now, when I say that, I want you to understand these herbs aid in healing because the Most High is who heals. But we read in Genesis who made these herbs. It's one that weak. Anybody that is weak, when they eat these herbs, it's for the service of healing. All right. Now we done with the Bible. Done with it. All right. But I want to finish it. Let me finish Psalms 104 and 14. That he may bringeth forth food of the earth. All praises to the Most High. All right. So now that you got that out, you got basis in regards to the herbs, their reasoning, the creation of them. We got all that up there. I'm gonna share my screen again, and we're gonna get into this topic of epilepsy. Again, all the links, as with any and all of my truthful thoughts, all the links to all of this will be in the description. Again, I will be going over a lot of this stuff, but I leave the links so that because there are some things that I'm not going to read. You can go back and research for yourself. Do not just believe what I say. Now, I will tell you this. I can't lie to you. I've repented for that. If I lied, I didn't really repent when I repented, but I repented. So I can't lie to you. Keep that in mind, because I'm going to read this stuff to you. But there are other things that I'm not going to read that might answer some questions that you might have. That's why I leave the links. But I definitely know that I'm going to go over. It's going to be epilepsy. The term status epilepticus. And we're going to go over status epilepticus as well as some herbs for these particular disorders and processes. All right, so we're gonna start with, and you see this is from the National Library of Medicine, an official website of the United States government. So this is pretty legit site, pretty legit information. And we're gonna get this portion right here under abstract, all right? And feel free to read with me. If you can't see or anything, you can just listen. I'll read it to you. If the lettering is too small. Also, like I said, the links will be in the description. You can go back and read it as well if you know, if you like. All right, and that is what I suggest. Epilepsy is one of the most common disorders of the central nervous system. I just went over multiple sclerosis, another disease process disorder of the central nervous system. Queen Tandy, even more confirmation. There's no irony or coincidence in this. This was just 2 weeks ago. Something else about the central nervous system comes up. Here we go. Let's get it. Although epilepsy is common worldwide, approximately 80% of epileptic patients live in the developing countries or those with low to middle income. Low to middle income. So here you see that in their study, they have found that 80% of people with epilepsy are in the low to middle, and I'm low to middle, put that in quotation marks, income status in these developing countries, right? Now, those of you that know me, y'all used to hearing me ask a certain question. And when I see things like this, is that ironic or coincidental? Just out of curiosity. 80% of people with epilepsy are in low to middle class income. Now, what people of any people throughout the 4 corners of the earth get that? I just want you to just think. I want you to think. Walk with me. Walk with me. Up until the second decade of the 20th century, epilepsy was treated mostly by traditional remedies. Today, anti-epileptic drugs are used as a general treatment instead to prevent and control epileptic seizures. However, patient access to these drugs is hindered due to the healthcare systems of their countries and a number of other reasons, such as cultural, socio-demographic, and financial poverty. Again, 80% of all the world, 80% well, out of all the world, especially in developing countries. Countries like the United States. It's always a developing country. 80% of all epileptic patients, low to middle class income. I'll ask again, is this irony or coincidence? Or maybe none of the above. Let me keep going. In addition, approximately 30 to 40% of epileptic patients suffer from refractory epilepsy. Additionally, AEDs have adverse side effects that can lead to treatment failure or reduce the patient's quality of life. Despite recent advances in the treatment of epilepsy, there is still a need for improving medical treatment with a particular focus on efficacy, safety, and accessibility. Since herbal medicines have been used for many centuries. I got to stop right there. I started this by reading from Genesis, the book that started it all. The beginning, the genome of the formation, the beginning. It literally says, since herbal medicines have been used for many centuries around the world for treating epilepsy, it is therefore plausible that a rigorous study on herbal medicine and cytochemical components within plants of various species and origin may lead to the discovery of novel AED. I'm going to break that down. The world is admitting, not just the world, this is, I'm going to use my pointer for this, an official website of the United States government. U.S. government is admitting these herbs that the Most High said himself were good. This might be, that might be where it's at. This might be where it's at in these herbs. This might be the thing of all things for treatment of epilepsy. Now, I didn't say it. That's their wording. I'm reading it to you. Let me keep going. Nowadays, many medicinal plants used in different cultures and regions of the world have been identified. Most phytochemical components of these plants have been identified, and in some cases, their targets located. Therefore, again, here you go. Therefore, it is possible, they can fathom it, it is possible that new, effective, and accessible anticonvulsant drugs can be obtained from a medical plant and herb that the weak eateth. An herb that is of service to man. It's been in our book the whole time. The U.S. is actually saying the same thing that the Bible says. But I want to digress from that. Let's go to the next thing. I won't spend too much time. Y'all know me how. I'll dissect some stuff. Here we go again. Same place, different site, different site, different site. We're going to get a little more background. Now, again, this is from an official website of the United States government. Links will be in the description. A pharmacological basis of herbal medications for epilepsy. Epilepsy is the most common chronic neurological disease affecting about 1% of the world's population during their lifetime. Most people with epilepsy can attain a seizure-free life upon treatment with anti-epileptic drugs or AEDs. So when y'all heard me talking about AEDs back in that first one, maybe I should have said it back then, but this is what that acronym is for. Okay. Unfortunately, seizures is up to 30% do not respond to treatment. It is estimated that 90% of people with epilepsy live in developing countries, and most of them receive no drug treatment for the disease. This treatment gap has motivated investigations into the effects of plants that have been used by traditional healers all over the world to treat seizures. I'm going to ask you, is it irony or coincidence that they keep saying that these plants and herbs have been used for all these centuries? Is there any irony or coincidence? And I'm going to tell you, if you've never seen any truth or thought that I've ever done, especially the medical insight for you series within the Truth or Thought series, I did a lesson on monkeypox, and I told the nation, I said, listen, we're going to read about some things, and we're going to see how close this is to monkeypox. So we read Leviticus 13 about a certain type of leprosy. Actually, we read about a number of different leprosies, but there was one of those leprosies. It looked like that duck. It walked like that duck, and it quacked just like that duck. But then the next week, I addressed the nation in another Truth or Thought, and I said, let's look at some treatment modalities. So I had the national look at the very next chapter, Leviticus 14. There was some treatment modalities for these leprosies. And included in them were herbs. The same thing we read back in Genesis, that is good, said the Most High. The same things that the Most High, when he said that he had made them, the same herbs that the weak eat, the same herb that is of service to man. But all of this you can find in the Bible. So is it really, truly ironic or coincidental that the world is saying these plants, these herbs, this might be the thing? I've been practicing holistic medicine for years now. I've been new that these herbs are the thing. But let me keep going. Let me keep going. Extracts of hundreds of plants have been shown to exhibit anticonvulsant activity in phenotypic screens performed in experimental animals. Some of those extracts appear to exhibit anticonvulsant efficacy similar to that of synthetic anti-epileptic drugs or AED. Now, I noticed they use a very specific word, synthetic. A lot of folks that went over their head, they don't even know, they just read and say, oh, okay. So let me break that down. Synthetic simply means man-made. What they don't really want to say, but they say it to a degree, is just a man-made drug based off chemicals, based off of science. That's exactly what it is. But the world can't paint the picture completely, because there are a lot of people that are very well aware that, chemicals are just not good for the body. So they won't include that word. Something man-made, so people look at that and be like, okay, so you saying my neighbor Bob made this? That boy can't even wash his car right. You saying you want me? Nah, I'm good. They're not going to tell you the whole truth. And unfortunately, part of the truth, or not telling the whole truth, just as good as a lie. I'm not going to give the example. I've given it many, many times before, but part of the truth is just as good as a lie. You might as well go on and lie to me. No, I'm going to tell you some truth. I'm going to tell you what I think you'll want to hear. What paint a good picture. Do this picture look good to you? Let me keep going. Dozens of plant-derived chemical compounds have similarly been shown to act as anticonvulsants in various in vivo and vitro assays, meaning inside the body, administered inside the body or ingested into the body. Okay, that's all it is. I'm gonna keep this shit real simple. Not gonna complicate simplicity today. It's the Sabbath. I just got back in town. I'm a little tired. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little tired, but we ain't finna make this shit up. Okay? Let me keep going. To a significant degree, anticonvulsant effects of plant extracts can be attributed to widely distributed flavonoids, furanocoumarins, phenylpropanoids, and terpenoids. Flavonoids and coumarins have been shown to interact with the benzodiazepine sites of the GABA receptors and various voltage-gated ion channels, which are targets of synthetic anti-epileptic drugs or AED. Now, I'm gonna break that down. It sounds real sciencey. real medical. All that they're saying is these herbs affect the body the same way that our man-made chemicals do, but they're natural. You don't have to metabolize them. Your body doesn't get taxed with metabolizing these natural herbs like they get taxed with these synthetic chemicals. But they achieving the same goal. Now, I want to ask one more question. Are we on this? The FDA, Federal Drug Administration, they want their hands in on the distributing, processing. And when I say processing, I mean processing of teas, processing of elixirs, things like that. The shipping of everything that has to do with herbs. If you don't believe me, and I hope you don't believe me. In fact, I hope you want to prove me wrong. Make me to be a lie. But again, I will tell you this. The burden of proof is on you because I can't lie. I benefit. And I'm so confident. I'm not worried about it. Go check and see for yourself. You'll see. King Marcus, he didn't lie. Now the FDA wants their hands in on it. The United States government. These governments finna start want to put their hands in on herbs. There's a reason we say you can't get around the Bible because it's the truth. Even they can't get around the truth. These chemicals ain't it. But these plants, oh boy. These plants, now that's the it. Let me keep on going. Modulation of the activity of ligand-gated and voltage-gated ion channels provides an explanatory basis of the anticonvulsant effects of plant secondary metabolites. Basically, and you'll understand this a little better when I go into reading to you about what a seizure is and what status epilepticus is. Your brain, your nerves, and your heart. They got some special kind of cells. Now, they can generate electrical signals. Right? When you hear these ion charged and positive and negative charges, and I want you to think electricity. In fact, in regards to the heart, this is the exact word because it does it on its own. It's called automaticity. It automatically fires. Every time, fire. Every time it's going to fire a charge. And the result is a heartbeat. With your brain, you think something, the brain fires a charge. And now you're waving. That charge travels the whole central nervous system to the nerve that innervates your hand, and now you're waving. So all these words are basically saying that they have this special property, and they're speaking about this property directly in regards to the brain and the central nervous system, which will be the brain and the spinal cord, which is the central portion of the nervous system. Then you have the peripheral, which is going to be all your nerves, all the way to the nerve endings. But they saying it got some electricity in it. Your body, the body of man, when created by the Most High, Yahweh Shai, and the heavenly hosts, because I talked to somebody yesterday and they mentioned that word, come, let us make man in our image. And I told that queen, I said, yeah, that's what it says. But the question is, were you taught who us and our are. So I'm going to repeat this again. Queen Kristal. The Most High said, come, let us create man in our image. And us consisted of Yahweh Shah, he which is Alpha and Omega, he that was here in, this is in Genesis, the beginning and the end, as well as the heavenly host, or more commonly referred to as angels. Just in case your voice, my voice, is being heard by you right now, today. Let me go back to this, because let me get back to reading. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, many complex extracts and single plant-derived compounds exhibit anti-inflammatory. You don't even have to take a chemical as an anti-inflammatory. There are herbs for that. I have sent many people a list, and I'm compiling in the form of a PDF. I'm actually doing it as a Word document, converting it to a PDF, and I send it out to people. And in one of those truthful thoughts, I went over the anti-inflammatory, some very, very good anti-inflammatory herbs. But this is just seconding that notion about herbs exhibiting anti-inflammatory effects. Let me keep going. Neuroprotective and cognition enhancing activities that may be beneficial in the treatment of epilepsy. I would tell you, it ain't no may to it, it ain't no might to it. They'll do it. And they do it good, because the Most High deemed it so way back in Genesis 1. This shit is not hard, and I'm not finna complicate it. We gonna keep it simple, stupid. I learned it way back in kindergarten. I still practice that. Just keep it simple. Don't complicate simplicity. Keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid. And every time I say it, it's like I'm talking to myself. So I'm calling me stupid if I have to say that to myself. All I say is I'm not gonna complicate simplicity. Shit ain't hard. I'm not gonna make it hard. All right, let me keep going. Thus, botanicals provide a base for target-oriented anti-epileptic drug discovery and development. In the future, preclinical work should focus, this is their suggestion. In the future, preclinical work should focus on the characterization of the effects of plant extracts, herbs, and plant-derived compounds, herbs, on well-defined targets rather than phenotypic screening using in vivo animal models of acute seizure. But at the same time, available data provide ample justification. Ample justification. Remember this, because we're going to look at some things and they're going to say there's not enough evidence. But this says, at the same time, available data provide, meaning it already is proven, ample justification for clinical studies which selected standardized botanical extracts and plant-derived compounds. This article is part of a special issue entitled Botanicals for Epilepsy. They want to change the word, but I'm going to keep this shit simple. Some herbs for epilepsy. Keep this shit real simple. I don't care if they trying to complicate shit. I'm going to make this shit. I'm going to keep this as simple as possible. So now let's go and let's look at what type of person or what happens with the person is categorized as having epilepsy. And then we're going to look at status epilepticus and what those exhibit, what they are. So a person that has seizure is an epileptic patient. It's a person with epilepsy. Okay. So let's look at what happens in a seizure. And Queen Tandy, you're about to find out why it touched me so and why I had such a sense of urgency. Let me say that. Because Princess Messiah not getting younger, she's getting older, right? But as you mentioned, and it makes perfect sense to me, why they ain't figured the shit out well beyond me. But it makes sense that the older she gets, the more violent they are becoming. But let me just look at this, because this is all for edification purposes, right? This is, as you can see, is on drugs.com, right? We're going to look at seizures. What is a seizure? All right. A seizure is a sudden change in the brain's normal electrical activity. Remember I said about that? They find, well, when you're having a seizure, they're firing uncontrollable. A seizure is a sudden change in the brain's normal electrical activity. During a seizure, brain cells fire, like I just said, continually at up to 4 times their normal rate, temporarily affecting the way a person behaves, moves, thinks, or feels. Now, the reason it happens is every time the brain fires, there's a signal sent, and that signal is going to keep going till it gets to its destination. Well, these signals are being sent continually, thus the convulsing. It's not that the patient is voluntarily sending a signal to wave. It's that the brain is firing involuntarily to shake. The brain is firing involuntarily for muscles to contract and relax extremely fast, over and over and over and over and over. Because nerves innervate not only the musculoskeletal system, not only the skeletal part of the musculoskeletal system, but also the muscles of the musculoskeletal system. It's the reason why when people used to do this back in the day, they used to put a spoon in a seizing person's mouth, and they stopped because they were convulsing so violently that even with the chomping of their teeth, they would eat through the metal of the spoon. The reason it touched me so much, Queen Tandy, this young princess is firing like that, but she don't have just regular seizure. She has violent, rigorous seizure. Now, let me explain another reason that it concerned me. Because a lot of people overlook this, but with electricity comes a byproduct of heat. Now, I want you to imagine you stay in a concrete box, but that everything in that box is all wood, and that wood catches on fire. is going to produce this heat. I promise you, everything that's not on fire in there is going to melt. Now, why did I give that example? Now I want you to think about the brain, which is encased in the cranial vault. This is a waterproof, windproof. It's like a safe. And this brain is firing uncontrollably and is creating heat. I have witnessed people seizing to the point, or I have seen it, that they cooked their brain from that heat. So yes, I was really concerned, Queen Tandy. I am so glad that you let me know she's out now. She's going to school today. Because there was a lot of, I was about to come. I was about to shoot down, and I wasn't going to be alone. Because there are things, and I can tell you, I am a caregiver, and I will tell you, at the attest of others, I'm a good one. Now, do I understand I'm a good one? I understand I'm a damn good one. But I don't want it to be what I understand. I'm going to tell you what others understand. Others have told me I am a damn good provider. Now, the difference between a provider and a good provider is they look at everything. They take a step back. They look at the whole picture. They look at every cause. They look at every effect. So it concerned me because that's exactly what I did. But it was so relieving to know Princess Messiah is back home. All praises to the Most High. Let me keep going. There are two major types of seizures. Primary generalized seizures. The seizure affects the entire cerebral cortex, the outer portion of the brain that contains the majority of brain cells. In this type of seizure, the abnormal firing of brain cells occurs on both sides of the brain at about the same time. So understand, they're firing at about the same times, but up to 4 times faster than normal. Then there's the partial or focal seizure. The abnormal firing of brain cells begins in one region of the brain and remains in that one region of the brain. Now, I never did get to ask you, Queen Tandy, but did they say that she's having a generalized or a focal seizure? Did they say that she had a focal seizure, that she was in status epilepticus with a focal seizure or a just generalized primary seizure? Just out of curiosity, okay? Here you will see the normal firing of the brain in this picture. It's normal. Here you see a focal seizure, a partial seizure, where there is a lot of firing right here in this portion of the brain, right? Now we're going to go to this, a general seizure. I want you to see what's taking place so you'll understand why such concern. Because this is a big brain. This would be the brain of an adult. It's fully developed, but We're talking about a baby, 10-year-old princess with many years to grow. And look at how the brain can fire. That's a hell of a lot of firing. I'm gonna compare them. This, a lot of firing. This, a hell of a lot of firing, for lack of a better term. Let me keep going. Many conditions can affect the brain and trigger a seizure. Queen Tandy and your daughters, I hope that you all are listening. Please pay very close attention to the very first thing. Brain injury, either before or after death. Now, I want you to understand, it does not mention here what may have caused said brain injury. Now, I know the background. I'm going to repeat it to you again. Brain injury, either before or after birth. Infections, especially meningitis and encephalitis. Eating or drinking toxic substances, metabolic problems, high fever in children because of the cooking of the brain. Just for everybody to know, you can cook your babies can cook their brains prior to seizing, which aids in further cooking their brains. Genetic conditions including tuberous sclerosis, structural abnormalities in the brain's blood vessels. Seizures are common. A person may have only one seizure without recurrence. Epilepsy is a condition in which seizures continue to occur. Let's look at some of the symptoms. And although I know that a lot of people may know them, again, this is all for edifying purposes. The reason I choose the sites that I choose is because it's broken down really to layman's terms, not as much in some than others, but it keeps it simple. Because I know some people have said, why did you use that one? Well, this is why. Why did you use that particular article? This is why. Primary generalized seizures. The different types of primary generalized seizures cause different symptoms. So now, it's going to get broken down a little bit more. So you got your primary generalized seizures, then you have your focal seizures. Well, these are just categories. Now we have subcategories of each. Subcategories of each. We're going to start with the primary generalized seizure. The generalized tonic-clonic, oh boy, seizure, also called the grand mal seizure. In this type of seizure, the person usually loses consciousness and falls to the ground. All body muscles can contract at once in a sustained contraction, or they can contract in a series of shorter rhythmic contractions, or both. Some patients also lose bowel or bladder control. They lose their continence. They become incontinent. They defecate on themselves. They urinate on themselves. The seizure episode typically lasts for less than a minute and is followed by a period of lethargy or sluggishness. This is more often referred to as postictal. Postictal and temporary confusion. Often muscles are very sore after a generalized seizure. Why? That's a lot of exercise. Imagine you're running up a hill voluntarily and you stop because you're getting tired, right? Imagine your body is moving like it's running up a hill and you ain't got no control of it. It's just gonna keep going. It can run over 50 hills if it's still firing. Oh, that's real tiring. To have someone run literally 30 miles at a rate of 10 miles per hour, all in place, lying on their back. Boy, they gonna be tired. All those muscles need oxygen to sustain and all that exercise. It's a lot of things going on when you see this. When one seizes, it's a lot of demand because these muscles demand oxygen to be exercising like that. The brain demands oxygen because it's firing like that. And when it's over, boy, are you tired. You're like you done went 35 rounds, 36 rounds with Tyson. The absence seizure. Let's move to the next one. The absence seizure, also called the petite mouse. In this type of seizure, loss of consciousness is so brief that the person usually doesn't even change position. For a few seconds, the person may have a blank stare or rapid blinking. This type of seizure usually begins in childhood or early adolescence. I've seen a baby. I've seen it several times. This one really touched me because the mama really didn't realize what was going on. And there are videos out right now. If people wondering what's going on, I'm going to show you how a petite mouse seizure will look. The person will start looking like this, then they'll have a blank stare like that. Just like that. I told that girl when I first saw her, I said, lay him down real quick. I'm finna start IV. I'm finna give him some Versed. She said, why? I said, he's seizing. His brain right now is shooting through the roof. Push the Versed, baby. Went from this stare to this and started crying. The danger of an absent seizure is, and this was this baby's mom. She said, he do that all the time. I'm thinking to myself, he seizes all the time. She didn't even recognize what was going on. So all these videos where I see people say, what is going on? You see these people that start staring like that, then some of them end up doing that. They are actively seizing people. They're actively seizing. This is just a little golden nugget, Israel. If you see one of yours doing that, please seek immediate medical. They need a rescue drug at that point in time. That is the truth. If they take Dilantin ain't gonna do it for them right there. They need some Versed and some value. Those drugs, Dilantin, and I'm gonna go over some of them. Those are to prevent seizures, but when a person is having it, you go from preventative mode to treatative mode. Dilantin does not treat a seizure. Dilantin is very good at preventing a seizure. But if an active seizure is happening, you need a treatative medicine. You need some Versed. You need some Valium. In some instances, another reason why I was concerned, Queen Tandy, you need to knock them out, some fentanyl, tube them, and then slow their brain down. So yes, I was very concerned. Yes, it touched my heart, and it really gave me a lift of joy when I heard that Princess Messiah was back home. Let me keep going. Status epilepticus. Here we go. A state of prolonged seizures, 20 minutes or longer, or a series of seizures without fully regaining consciousness. This, listen carefully, this is a life-threatening medical emergency. Life-threatening emergency. So again, Queen Tandy, understand my concerns. But I want you to also notice that nowhere in here does it even refer to. You see a rate of seizures, you see a frequency of seizures, but you don't see the power of these seizures. So for me to gain the understanding from you that they are getting worse and worse, they're getting more violent and more violent. But see, you don't read about those types of descriptive words when you're reading about the different types. So that is an attitude that adds to, which added to my concern. They always have been violent. They're getting more and more so violent. Wait a minute. She's continuing to grow. They could very well get more so violent. They can continue for longer and longer. They can become more so a life-threatening medical emergency. And I just want you to understand, I want your daughter to understand why the sense of urgency that I had. Why I said, okay, I know I'm coming in from PA. I'm gonna shoot down in Texas. Let me keep going. The subcategory of categories of the partial or focus seizures. The different types of partial seizures cause different symptoms. The simple partial seizure is in a simple partial seizure, the seizure-related electrical discharges remain localized so that the person experiences a feeling, sensation, movement, or other symptoms without losing consciousness. During a simple partial seizure, the person remains awake and aware. Symptoms vary depending on the specific brain area, where it is, if it's your frontal lobe, if it's your depending on which lobe of the brain it is, are involved and may include jerking movements in one part of the body, an experience of abnormal smells or a distorted environment, or just unexplained fear or rage. It just depends on the lobe of the brain, right? A complex partial seizure is the most common type of partial seizure. In this type of seizure, the person loses awareness of his or her surroundings and is unresponsive or only partially responsive. There may be a blank stare, chewing or lip smacking, or repetitive movements of the hands. After the seizure, the person typically is confused and has no memory of the episode. They are postictal. Either type of partial seizure may become a generalized seizure if the electrical activity spreads. Now, that's the thing about having cells that trigger or emit electrical impulses. They're usually very close together in a closed circuit. The brain is the beginning of a closed circuit. So yes, it's just like a ceiling fan. When you cut the electricity, you got 4 different light bulbs in it. One ain't gonna come on and the other 3 not gonna come on. The likelihood is when you hit that switch, all 4 of them gonna come on. Right? So when the switch is hit, when the firing starts going, it is very likely that that firing will spread to the other parts of that closed system. All right? Seizures often are followed by a period of lethargy, drowsiness, and confusion. This happens most often with generalized seizures. These symptoms are not part of the seizure itself, but are connected to the brain recovering from the effects of the seizure. Again, it's referred to as being postictal. In addition, warning symptoms called an aura. Oh, I've asked about this and many they've seen it. Called an aura may occur immediately before complex, partial, and generalized seizures. People that know they have epilepsy, they'll tell you, I think I'm going to have a seizure. You say, why? They say, because I can see it. And what they're explaining is they see their aura. I can hear that even from a kid, and I'm already putting a line in and starting verse with. Because that might stop it before it happens. In fact, it will stop it. Because again, Versed is a treatative drug. It'll all out stop it. I've had people that contacted me and said, I think I'm about to have a seizure, even though I've been taking my Dilantin, and I'll tell them that's fine, because Dilantin, like any other chemical drug, has to be adjusted and titrated to effect, meaning to achieve the desired effect. And maybe they need their meds to be adjusted. Okay? And this is all just talking about these chemical synthesized, what's the word they use? These synthesized AEDs. Okay? In addition, warning symptoms called an aura may occur immediately before complex, partial, and generalized seizures. The aura is actually a brief, simple, partial seizure that generally involves changes in visual perception, smell, taste, or emotional state. That's as much as we're going to get on this, right? Because I want to get another definition just to corroborate that which we read about status epilepticus, right? Status epilepticus is a dangerous condition in which epileptic seizures follow one another without recovery of consciousness between them. Again, Tandy, I hope that you're developing an understanding for why I was more than willing to shoot to Texas. More than willing. So let's go from there and read about status epilepticus. All right. What is status epilepticus? Seizure involves abnormal electrical activity in the brain affecting both the mind and the body. Many problems can cause you to have a seizure. These include high fever, brain infections, abnormal sodium or blood sugar levels, or head injuries. It does not say how one sustains such head injury. It simply says head injuries. If you have epilepsy, you may have seizures repeatedly. A seizure that lasts longer than 5 minutes, or having more than one seizure within a 5-minute period without returning to a normal level of consciousness between episodes, is called status epilepticus. This is a medical emergency that may lead to permanent brain damage or death. I will say again, if you lose any of these types of tissue, you do not regain them back. That would be lung tissue. That will be heart tissue and brain tissue. You don't gain them back. It's a one and done thing. All right. Status epilepticus is very rare. Most people with epilepsy will never have it. This condition is more common in young children and elderly adults. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, would I have come to Texas? Yes, I would. Yes, I would have. This condition can occur as convulsive status epilepticus, because even status epilepticus has subcategories. Convulsive status epilepticus. Status epilepticus with convulsions may be more likely to lead to long-term injury. Convulsions may involve jerking motions, grunting sounds, drooling, and rapid eye movement. Non-convulsive status epilepticus. People with this type may appear confused, or they look like they're daydreaming. I'm going to say again, this shit is real viral right now, especially like over in the Asian countries where they seeing people do this. And ain't no irony, ain't no coincidence. I knew what shit was when I was first seeing it. Now, what is also not ironic or coincidental is that it's happening so at such an increasing rate to certain people. Now, that's not ironic or coincidental. They may be unable to speak and may be behaving in an irrational way. What causes status epilepticus? In children, the main cause of status epilepticus is an infection without a fever. In adults, the common, and again, these are the most common, not that there aren't other commons, and even just less common. Keep that in mind, that I am definitely addressing that. And even less common things that can cause epilepticus. The common causes include stroke, imbalance of substances in the blood, such as low blood sugar, drinking too much alcohol, or having alcohol withdrawal from previous heavy alcohol use. This, my dear beloved family, is known as DTs, or delirium tremens. More commonly in these low to middle income neighborhoods, known as the shakes. Oh, he got shakes, he just needs something to drink. No, he's having some delirium tremens. He's having he's literally seizing. And I'm just going to keep throwing these gold nuggets out there because I want my people to know the truth. And ain't nobody going to take care of us like us. And I'm willing to give any and all knowledge of any and everything that I know. I will give it to my people. And you can feel free to fact check me. But again, I can't lie to you. I've repented for that. But feel free. I implore you, do fact check me. Go look and say, my aim, I'm going to make him, he's going to be wrong. I tell you, the likelihood is, I'm not going to say slim to none. Because I'm not going to lie to you. And if I even have an inkling of a thought that I want to make sure of it before I even say it, I've been researching myself. But I implore you, go do some research. Find out if I'm proving myself to you. Who is at risk for status epilepticus? And a lot of the things I'm saying, I know some people might be, what is he saying then? It's people out there that I've talked to. They understand why I'm saying these things. They've heard me say some of these things before. Who is at risk for status epilepticus? There are many risk factors for status epilepticus, including poorly controlled epilepsy. Now, Queen Tandy, I want to say this to you. If Princess Messiah's epileptic episodes are getting worse and more violent, it's not, and I want you to understand why I'm saying this to you and your daughter. Hopefully she's watching as well. In regards to poorly controlled epilepsy, it's not because y'all not doing what any doctors are telling y'all to do. But could the doctors be poorly controlling it? And that's just a question. Just want you to think. Just want you to think. You can say, well, we're doing everything. She's taking her Dilan, she's taking this, she's taking that, and that sounds good. But I'm going to say again, all these chemicals have to be titrated to effect, right? Which means they have to be given at a proper dosage for a desired effect. Again, just throwing it out there. Low blood sugar, stroke, kidney failure, liver failure, encephalitis, or swelling or inflammation of the brain, HIV, alcohol or drug abuse, genetic diseases such as Fragile X syndrome and Angelman syndrome, head injuries. It does not say how that injury is. If there is scar tissue on the brain, gray or white matter, that is a head injury, how that scar tissue got there, even if it's from the lack of oxygen at some point in time in that particular person's life, scar tissue develops. The thing about the brain in gray and white matter is as that brain grows, that scar tissue spreads. Again, just throwing some nuggets out there at you. As that brain continues to grow, that scar tissue spreads even more. Because unlike skin cells, the old skin is pushed out and off as ash for the new skin. Your brain don't do that. That gray and white matter, that's not how it works with them. That's not how it happens. I'm just putting some gold nuggets out there for you. There's a reason I was so concerned. Let me keep going. What are the symptoms of status epilepticus? These are possible symptoms of status epilepticus. muscle spasms, falling, confusion, unusual noises, loss of bowel or bladder control, clenched teeth, irregular breathing, unusual behavior, difficulty speaking, a daydreaming look. So if I get another video of someone having a fucking seizure over in Taiwan or in Hong Kong, or I would like to see some text at the bottom that says, look at this person actively having a seizure. They are actively having a seizure. Versus, look at this, what is going on here? I promise you, I'm sharing the knowledge with you. I'm literally giving it to you. I'm giving this knowledge to my people. I wasn't giving this knowledge just for me. That's not the case. See, even I have some laws, statutes, and commandments that I must uphold. Teaching my people something that they don't know, but I do know. Everywhere from who they are to what the fuck is going on in that video. I gotta teach it to them. I would be a very disobedient son if I didn't. If I didn't go to Philadelphia, how disobedient would I have been? If Princess Messiah would have still been in the hospital on a Versed drip, and I didn't go down to Texas, how disobedient would I have been? And I don't want that type of smoke, boy. I take an ass whooping from a lot of beings. I normally don't get one. I'm normally the one giving ass whoopings, but I take an ass whooping from a lot of beings. I can walk away from it, straight. A little blood, it's okay. But man, some smoke with the Most High, I don't want that. I don't want that. So you remember, Queen Tandy, I asked, can you see if they did at least 2 EEG? The reason I see it 2 is because you compare the 2 to see trending, right? You do one a little later to see if they show the same thing, right? So if you do one when you know a person is actively seizing, right, because you see the convulsions, right? Then you turn around and do one when they're not convulsing, but their brain is still firing at their rates. Now you finna see one more reason why it was oh so concerning. People literally, I have seen it, have a generalized seizure, right? But they stop convulsing and are still actively seizing. Again, I want you to remember, a byproduct of any firing of electricity is heat. The brain is in the cranial vault, a heat-proof, freezer-proof, wind-proof, water, any type of element proof, it's in that vault. Which is why if swelling develops in the brain, it increases the intracranial pressure. The patient can't take it. They got to break that vault open and drain it. If I was fighting a fire and the fire was in a concrete block, I got to break into that concrete block to put that fire out. Otherwise, if there's anybody in there, they will melt. literally, from the amount of extra heat, because it's stored. It's like an oven. It's stored, held in that position, in that cavity, in that vault. But let me go on. Your healthcare provider will do a thorough physical exam and ask about your health history, any medicines you are taking, and if you've been using alcohol or other recreational drugs or rec drugs. Your healthcare provider may also order an electroencephalogram, an EEG. That's why the acronym EEG. This involves placing painless electrodes onto your scalp to measure the brain's electrical activity. You may need other tests to search for possible causes, but this test shows if it is happening. Not necessarily for the cause, but if there indeed is a seizure going on. So you may need other tests to search for possible causes, such as MRIs, CAT scans, things like that. These include a lumbar or a spinal tap. Wait a minute. Queen Sharon. Notice how this is a central nervous system deal, just like MS. Didn't I tell you there is one diagnostic tool that is the diagnostic tool of all diagnostic tools, especially in regards to MS? And looky. A lumbar puncture or spinal tap to look for signs of infection. A CT scan or MRI may be needed to see problems in the brain. Everything that I hadn't read this, but I knew that those the big three. The big three. So the reason I went into this, Queen Tandy and your daughter and Princess Messiah, if she should just so happen to see this. When I hear that something is happening to some of my people, or even one of my people, there's a picture that begins to be painted. So Queen Tandy started painting this picture. And the picture was looking worse and worse because I'm learning certain things about Princess Messiah. I'm learning she's always had seizures. I'm learning they've always been violent. I'm hearing they're getting more and more violent. I'm hearing she's hospitalized. I'm hearing she's still in there. And I'm thinking, one of our princesses, my nation's princesses. So has she still been in there? Don't ask to see every EEG. I was gonna come down there to definitely shake some things up, because it's one thing to treat the signs and symptoms. Normally when I come, I'm coming looking for the definitive treatment, meaning what will take care of the underlying cause. I'm gonna say again, brain injuries, either before or after birth, as we read. One of the leading causes. Scar tissue from the starvation of the brain receiving oxygen at any point in time in a person's life. is now known as a brain injury. Unfortunately, with kids, as they grow, this particular type of tissue in gray and white matter, it doesn't act like any other tissue. Neither does the tissues of the heart. Neither do the tissues of the lungs. It's not like other tissues. It does not regenerate. Now, what further separates the lungs and the heart from the brain is, of those three, only one is locked away in a vault. Now, even in this vault, there's what's known as a pleura or a pleural lining to help with surface tension, just in case there's an increase in pressure. And there's also a pleura lining of both the heart. Well, the heart actually sits in a sac, but the linings of that sac are pleuri, or plural for plural. Pleura, rather. The lungs themselves, if you've ever had pleurisy, you know exactly what this is. It's the lining around the lungs either being infected, and this is what it is the majority of the time. It doesn't have any surfactant in it because you're not drinking water. It's like a dry rug. It's like the surface tension of this, and every time you breathe, it's this. But of all three of those things that have a pleural lining or pleuri, only one is locked in a vault. One is I'll give it to it. One is encased in a sac, myocardial sac, the sac around the heart. But it is so easy to drain pressure off of it, isn't it, Queen Kristal? With a pericardiocentesis. But to do it for the brain, you must have what's known as a ventricular drain. Unfortunately, we're not talking about the heart. We're not talking about the lungs. You can decompress lungs. You can do all that. But it's much easier to do than trying to get into that cranial vault. Well, this particular thing stems from the thing encased in the cranial vault that holds heat. It will hold extra heat caused from excessive firing. It'll hold all that heat. Thus, my concerns, queens. And I say queens because I am speaking to both you, Queen Tandy, and your daughter. Okay? So now we got a little background on epilepsy, a little background on status epilepticus. I want to look at some treatment modalities, and I'm sorry, I don't look, unless it's for comparison and contrast. I don't look at synthesized man-made chemicals. We're going to look at some natural, made by the Most High herbs. Okay? So, let's go here. I chose this one because it's easy to read. It's an easy read. All of these, yes, definitely aid and work well with epilepsy. I will say they work well in the preventative of epilepsy. So if you're always preventing epilepsy, you never should have to treat it. Because if you have to treat it, you're going to need some Versed, some Valium, or the Most High himself, depending on how bad you are, how bad your status is. Okay? Commonly used herbs for epilepsy. These will be added to the list. If you would like a copy of the list, please, my Instagram will also be in the description. Simply DM me on Instagram and DM me your email. On Instagram, I will send it to you, no problems. On that list now is a combination of a lot of herbs. A lot of herbs now being added to this same Word document that I am then changing over to a PDF to make it easy to send to email. So we got burning bush, ground cell, hydrocodal, lily of the valley, mistletoe, mugwort, peony, skullcap, tree of heaven, and valerian. I'm gonna read this little part that the world. I just gotta read this. Because we read earlier that the U.S. government themselves said these things do have been proven to a point that, yes, this might be where it's at. Watch what the world turns around and say, the hypocrisy of it. You can read about hypocrites in the Bible too, but I'm just going to read it. According to a 2003 study, a handful of herbal remedies used in traditional Chinese, Japanese, Kampo, and Indian Ayurveda medicine have shown anticonvulsant effects. Still, there are no randomized blind control studies to support their benefits. They will turn around and say, and we just literally read from a United States site. Oh yeah, there's plenty of proof and evidence. And now here they go. It ain't no evidence. We don't have enough evidence to support. Be ye not deceived. You want to know the truth? The truth is this. The Most High put herbs on this earth way back in Genesis. And like that thing said when we was reading about the United States, for centuries since, they have been used just like the Bible said that they could be used by man. And one of them is for service to man, including medicinal service to man. Not, we ain't got enough proof. I just have, because every time I see that, it pisses me fuck off. How is there not enough proof? There are treatment modalities, which include herbs, in the Bible. How much more fucking proof you need? Shit been getting used ever since then. Well, what else do you? I'm not the smartest motherfucker on earth. I agree. But I ain't that mute either. I'm not that dumb. That makes absolute, be ye not deceived, Israel. Be ye not deceived. Let's look at some of these. Let's look at some of these particular herbs. All right. If I can get my laptop to act right real fast. Hold on. I'm gonna stop sharing real quick. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna share it again real fast. Just give me a sec, because all right. So Let's look at burning bush. Now, this is WebMD, right? You know, they are a substantial site, right? Let's see what the world has to say about burning bush. Burning bush is a plant, an herb. People use the leaves and the root to make medicines. Okay, sound about right. Burning bush is used for digestive tract disorders, including cramps, stomach problems, and worms in the intestines. It is also used for urinary tract and genital tract disorders. Women taking burning bush to start menstruation as birth control and to help force out the placenta after childbirth. Other uses include treating epilepsy. I want to stop though, because I want to tell y'all, Israel don't do no dumbass shit. It says women take burning bush to start menstruation as birth control and to help force out the placenta after childbirth. I want you to keep that in mind, because we're going to read about another one that will literally abort a child. And I don't want none of these folks that call themselves out here protesting because of the reverse of Roe versus Wade. Yes, there is a natural abortion thing out here. There's a natural abortion herb. But Israel, you ain't supposed to use it anyway, because one of the commandments is thou shalt not kill. It don't say thou shalt not kill unless it's a baby you don't want. Don't be no damn fools out here. Don't make some foolish, unwise decisions that has gotten us into the position that we are in. Foolish, unwise decision. Some people apply burning bush directly to the affected area as a topical or topically for treating skin disorders such as wounds, eczema, bacterial infections, impetigo, swelling or inflammation, and an infection or a certain infection, scabies, caused by tiny lice-like insects. Normally, that ain't gonna be found around my people. But just in case some of my people get to dealing with these, come the fuck back to the house with some goddamn scabies. Here you go. As well as for painful conditions such as joint pain caused by arthritis or rheumatism. Other topical uses include the treatment of fever. There's a natural fever reducer. Excessive uterine bleeding, used as a sedative for adults and children, and used as a tonic. Don't confuse this plant with wahoo, which is also referred to as burning bush. One of the other ways to tell the difference is that this burning bush has a distinctive lemon or cinnamon scent, and its oil burns easily. All right. So that was that first one we looked at. And I promise you, they not gonna talk about epilepsy with all of these, but I went to them anyway on WebMD just to see what they was gonna have to say about them, just to see, just out of sheer curiosity. All right, now let's go to the next one. The next one is going to be, oh come on, go back up. I gotta wait on my screen. There we go. Next one is going to be ground cell. Let's see. Per WebMD, let's see what it's saying. Okay. Ground cell is a plant. The whole flowering plant is used to make medicine. The whole herb, every part of the herb. every part of this herb. The bloom all the way down to the roots, from the rooty to the damn tootie. Despite serious safety concerns, some people take groundsel by mouth for worm infections and colic. Some people also drink the pressed juice for irregular or painful menstrual periods or dysmenorrhea and epilepsy. The pressed juice is sometimes applied directly to gums to stop bleeding. I want you to understand, there is a certain deterring type agent that I'm starting to see. I'm starting to see things like there's not enough data to support if this does this. And then you see things like despite serious safety concerns. Now, I would tell you, everybody is not qualified to prepare every type of herb. Do not be foolish, and just because I showed you this and think that you know how to prepare this herb. No, no, no. It is not why I'm giving you this information. And feel free to contact me on Instagram, and I will tell you exactly why I gave it to you. I will tell you I can get it prepared for you. But I will tell you some of my people, because it did say 80% of all people with epilepsy are found in low to middle income, right? That definitely includes my people. They're going to try to be smart. They're going to try to be economically, feasibly cheaper. There are some things you can't cut corners on. I'm sorry. There are some things you call yourself cutting corners and you will perish. That's just the truth. Let me go to the next one. Gatu Cola. For those that don't know what Gatu Cola more commonly is, this is an herb from over there where y'all keep sending me these videos of folks literally having active seizures from over there in the Asians, over there, Eurasia. Say it how I was taught the shit in school. From over there in Eurasia. Hold on, I'm gonna get you. It is hydrocodone. That's what it is, hydrocodone, okay? That is what hydrocodone is. I don't know why my laptop is acting so crazy right now. Here we go. Load up. Come on with it. Still didn't load the wrong thing. Come on. I mean, the right thing. Still didn't load. Here we go. Gatu Cola. Gatu Cola or Centinella asiatica is an herb in the parsley family. It has a long history. Now listen, because these motherfuckers will still turn around and tell you, but there's not enough evidence. It has a long history of use in the traditional Chinese and Ayurvedic medicine systems. Gatu Cola contains certain chemicals that seem to decrease swelling and blood pressure. It also seems to increase collagen production, which might be helpful for wound healing. People use gotu kola for burns and poor circulations. They can lead to varicose veins. It is also used for scars, stretch marks, and many other conditions, including epilepsy. But there is no good scientific evidence to support most of these uses. Now, didn't I just say in the same damn breath? Same damn breath. I can't make this shit up. They attest to it having a long history of use for these things. And in the same damn breath, they'll say, but there is no good scientific evidence to support most of these uses. Let me go to the next one because this shit crazy. Very next one. See what they got to say about lily of the valley. Lily of the valley is a plant and herb. The root, underground stem, or the rhizome, and dried flower tips are used to make medicine, right? That's the opening statement. Lily of the White Valley is used for heart problems, including heart failure and irregular heartbeat, but there is no good. How you go from the very first statement? I can't make this shit up. I'm gonna go back just to make sure I have the correct understanding. Lily of the valley is a plant or an herb. The root, underground stem, the rhizome, and dried flower tips are used to make medicine. That's proven. That's a fact. Let me go on. Lily of the valley is used for heart problems, including heart failure and irregular heartbeats, but there is no good scientific evidence to support these or other uses. Lily of the valley may also be unsafe. Store lily of the valley. How can it, if it's unsafe, why are they telling you how to store it? I want to go back to where it says that, but there is no good scientific evidence to support these or other uses, include epilepsy. The shit frustrates me. But this same stuff, right, that there is no good scientific evidence to support, all of a sudden the FDA want their hands in on it. Now, why is that? How irony and coincidence? How ironic and coincidental. If this is the case, then why you want to be a part of it? Don't be deceived, Israel. This shit is not very complex at all. They trying to complicate simplicity, but don't be deceived. Do not be deceived. Shit makes no sense. Contradict they damn self in their own shit on the one line away from when they. Okay, let me keep going. European mistletoe. There are two types of mistletoe. I am intentionally addressing the European mistletoe, Israel. Very simple. Very, very simple. European mistletoe, or Viscum album, is a plant that grows on several different trees throughout the world. The berry, leaf, and stem are all used as medicine. European mistletoe contains chemicals that might stimulate the immune system and kill certain cancer cells, but it's not clear if these effects occur in the human body. Here they go. We ain't got enough proof. People use, but they ain't got enough proof. But listen to this. People use European mistletoe for various types of cancer, including head and neck cancer, bladder cancer, breast cancer, lung cancer, and many other conditions. But there is no, so what they using it for? They've been doing it for a long time. Here we go again, but there is no good scientific evidence to support these uses. Most research has evaluated European mistletoe injections given by a healthcare provider. There is very little research of the use of, but it's being given by healthcare providers. But there is very little research on the use of European mistletoe taken by mouth. I will tell you again, epilepsy is something that European mistletoe is administered for. Just that simple. Mugwort. Artemisia vulgaris is a plant native to Europe, Asia, and Africa. The parts that grow above the ground and the root are used to make medicine. That's the first statement. Chemicals in mugwort, these are natural. This is the natural makeup of mugwort. Listen to the very next word, might. So I know what's coming next. Might have anti-inflammatory effects. It also contains a chemical called zoom that might stimulate the uterus. People use mugwort for anxiety, irregular periods, colic, insomnia, and many other conditions, including epilepsy. But there is no good scientific evidence to support these uses. I knew that was coming just based off of context clues when I saw in the second paragraph, chemicals in mugwort might. I was just waiting on it. Don't confuse mugwort plants with similar common names, including Artemisia, Herba alba, tarragon, wormseed, and wormwood. These are not the same. That is very true. These are different herbs. Waiting on my laptop here. Come on. There we go. Peony. Or Paeonia lactiflora is an herb. The roots are commonly used. This is a common thing, commonly used in traditional Chinese medicine for many purposes, okay? I want to see, they gonna do the shit. They gonna do the shit, watch Israel. Peony might block chemicals. Here we go, might. I'm waiting on it. Wait for it. Peony might block chemicals that can cause pain and swelling. It might also prevent blood clotting, kill cancer cells, and acts as an antioxidant. Peony is sometimes called red peony and white peony. This refers to the color of the processed root, not the color of flowers. Very important. That is very important. People use peony for menstrual cramps, aging skin, cough, epilepsy, psoriasis, and many other conditions. Here we go. But there is no good scientific evidence to support these uses. This all after they said peony or Paeonia lactiflora is an herb. The roots are commonly used in traditional Chinese medicine for many purposes. Commonly to, there's no good scientific evidence. None at all. Not at all. We keep going. Do y'all see a common thing? Just out of pure curiosity. But cow skull cap. Scolaria bacalensis is a plant native to China and Korea. The root has been used in Chinese medicine for psychiatric disorders. They're literally saying it's being used. It has been used. It's been for a long time used. This herb has been used for centuries, like we read back in the very first article, for centuries. The cow skull cap contains chemicals that might, oh, here the fuck we go again. They done started with it again. I might well just, here go my context clue shit, my antennas that stood the fuck up. Decrease swelling and stop tumor growth. Bacal skull cap is used for respiratory infections, diabetes, osteoarthritis, and many other conditions, including epilepsy. But there is no good scientific evidence to support any uses. There is also no good evidence to support using Bacal skull cap for COVID-19. Don't confuse Bacal skull cap with skull cap. They are very different plants. Very different plants. I can't make this shit up, Israel. I'm hoping you're reading it with me. Tree of heaven is a plant and herb. The dried bark from the trunk and roots are sometimes used in folk medicine. It has been used in medicine for the longest, since the Most High put it here, pretty much. Tree of heaven is used for diarrhea, asthma, cramps, epilepsy, fast heart rate, gonorrhea, and other conditions, but there is no good scientific evidence to support their uses. They say this after literally saying are used in folk medicine. In manufacturing, tree of heaven is used as an insecticide. Some researchers think that chemicals in the bark of tree of heaven may have drying effects, decrease fever, and decrease spasm. Other chemicals found in tree of heaven might kill worms and parasites and have some effects against cancer cells. Again, they say it that way, all to say, but there is no good scientific evidence to support these uses. All after saying it's been used for medicine, and it is continually used for medicine. I don't get it. I'm good. Valerian of Valeriana officinalis or officinalis, however you want to do your seed, is an herb native to Europe and parts of Asia. Valerian root has a long history. Listen to this. Long history of uses as a sedative. So this is an herb that definitely has been used for a long time, if for nothing else, as a sedative. Valerian can grow to be just over 6 feet tall and has a strong odor. It seems to act like a sedative in the brain and nervous system. Valerian has been used as a traditional medicine dating back to ancient Greek and Roman times. So they further proven the use of this. People commonly use valerian for sleep disorders, especially insomnia. Valerian is also used for anxiety, stress, and many other conditions, including epilepsy. Here they come with the bullshit. I already saw it. But there is no good scientific evidence to support most of these uses. These motherfuckers gave very specific time frames and still say the shit. I'm really questioning who the fuck is dumb here. Me for continuing to read this every time I see it, or they ass for constantly putting it in here, even after telling you the time periods that it was used. I added this in the description, this website, because it's a list of plants used in herbalism, and you will see all the way from A to Z, nothing but herbs. that are used medicinally. Okay. I also added this in the description for a very specific reason. You can go here and click on herb, and you can type the name of any herb in here, and you will get a beautiful breakdown of any herb. Tools for you, Israel. Tools for you. Now, stop sharing my screen. I know this one wouldn't that long a truth for thought, but I did just come back from Philadelphia. I didn't get much rest last night or yesterday. I got here at about 1:30. Received a call. I still might be heading to Texas, but like really soon, by the way. Got a call from Houston, Texas. Had to deal with that. So I didn't really get to rest till early morning this morning. Woke up at about 7. I got about 4 or 5 hours rest. So I'm still tired. It is the day of rest, so I'm going to be resting today. And that also kind of contributes to the length of this particular truth or thought. But Israel, I'm hoping that you learn some things. I've been told by several people I am a wealth of knowledge, and I am telling you as a nation, if I have the knowledge, you have the knowledge. And it's just that simple. I will literally tell you any and all that I know. If it's something that has to be demonstrated by doing, I will literally show you so that you will have the knowledge of how to do it. I'm a very obedient child of the Most High God. I do want to say again, if you can be charitable to our beloved sister, Queen Sharon and King Greg, who are actively, like right now, continuing to help in the continued care and aftercare of our beloved sister, Queen Alicia, actively continuing to be of support to Queen Alicia's King Michael. If you can be charitable, please, by all means, I have their Cash App in the description. I also ask, along with keeping the whole nation in prayer, that you keep these individuals in prayer. Queen Alicia, King Michael, Queen Sharon, King Greg, Queen Paula, Queen Kristal, Queen Ashley, Queen Britney, and King John. I also ask that you keep in prayer my beloved brother, King Mike. Malice brought out a beautiful about the virgins and the oil. Beautiful lesson. Part of a 2-part lesson. Second part will be heading into next Sabbath. Also, keep in prayer my beloved brother, King Gideon and King Yada. King Yada and his queen just recently had a little princess. I've been so busy, King. I apologize. I gotta shoot to the ATL to see see the prince. I will get there, King. I can't tell you when Most High give me the time to get there, but I'm gonna. I want to get. Please keep in prayer our beloved Queen Tandy, and her king as well. Please keep in prayer Queen Shay. Keep in prayer Queen Tandy, her daughter, and her granddaughter. And again, keep the whole family, the whole nation in prayer. So, Israel, with that, it's your brother, King Marcus G. Until next time, be it the Most High will. I love you, and I bid you shalom.